you are someone who is very in tune with the dynamics of your community, someone who is able to perceive when things are out of balance, and you totally know what it needs so that you harmonize the group you created.
Magnificence is the boundless expanse of being, a liberation from limitation. It is the embodiment of authenticity, where you shed the shackles of self-doubt, shame, and imposter syndrome. Here, worthiness flourishes like a vibrant garden where you have the power to determine your actions, destinations, and your closest relationships. In the realm of magnificence, creative individuality takes center stage. Your greatness is acknowledged, celebrated, and nurtured. Gone are the days of mindless conformity or fitting in just to keep the peace. This show and your host, Patricia Lindner, are here to guide you as you align with your authentic design, leading the way to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Magnificence is not some unreachable peak or distant dream. It's inside you, waiting to shine brighter than you ever thought possible. Welcome to your magnificence.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Magnificence, the one and only empowerment podcast that strikes a match and shines the light on the magnificence of you and the magnificence of my amazing guests. And today I have with me Frank Agin, an amazing, magnificent person that I want to introduce to you. First of all, hello, and welcome to the show, Frank.
Thank you for having me. That's quite a build-up. Magnificent. I've never heard my name and magnificent in the same sentence. So
I could not wait to have you on the show because looking at your human design chart, I thought, what a magnificent person. And I'm so glad that you said yes to be here on the show. So I think Frank and magnificence really goes well together.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So first of all, I would love to say a couple of things about you, what you do and who you are. And then I would love to ask you maybe just add some more information to that. So Frank is a lifelong student and mentor of professional relationships and networking. He's the president and founder of AMSpirit Connections, and he's an avid connector of great people, an entrepreneur, a speaker, an author, and a podcaster as well. Welcome again to the show, Frank. So you really have quite some roles that you play or that you are. Let us know a little bit more about who is Frank Agin.
Yeah, it's. I think my journey is kind of one of those. It wasn't really planned out, right? I mean, it was just kind of one of those things where one thing led to the next, and it wasn't necessarily mistakes, but it wasn't necessarily correct decisions. I live in Columbus, Ohio. For people who are in Europe, it's in the central part of the United States. I'm not from here. I moved here almost 40 years ago to go to law school. I have a law degree. I have an MBA. And I started my career as a tax consultant, which is really a great professional life, you might say. People would look at that and say, "Wow, you made it," and I did. It was a great job. I had great pay. I had a great office. I had great clients. I had great everything. I just wasn't fulfilled with the work. My friends at work were good people. They're all good people. People in general are good people. I just wasn't happy. And so I decided to leave and go into the private practice of law, figuring that I would ultimately figure out really where I needed to be. And I tell people that a funny thing happened when I started my law practice, and the funny thing was nothing happened. I had no idea how to get clients. Or at least I grew up believing all the way through school, all the way through that first job, that you got credentials, you got this degree, you did well, and people would beat a path to your door to do business with you. And it doesn't work that way in small business America. It doesn't work that way in business in general. That's why you have salespeople. And so I struggled for a bit trying to figure out how to get clients. I was deathly afraid I was going to fail. I just didn't know what to turn, where to turn, what to do. And somebody said, "Why don't you get into a tips club or a leads group?" And I really had no idea what they were talking about, but got invited to I'm just working on blind faith at this point. I don't know what to do. I don't know who I should be. I knew I wanted to be successful. I knew I wanted to serve people. And so I found myself at a meeting of entrepreneurs, sales reps, professionals. There weren't a lot of people there, but the whole notion behind this organization is that you help the other people sitting around the room. Everybody did something different. You help them, you talk about them, you get them clients, and in return, they'll do the same for you. And to me, that made total sense, because it's really easy for most people, to talk up somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? Jason Croft, who introduced us, he's a great guy, right? I truly believe that. It's easy for me to talk about that, but it's not easy for me to say, "Oh, I'm a great guy," right? That's it. I just can't do it. And I think a lot of people are, a lot of people are that way. They don't want to self-promote. And I understand that, because if I tell you Jason's great, you might disagree with me. I know you don't, but people might disagree with that, and that's just their opinion. Okay, you have a different opinion. But if I say I'm great and they don't agree with that, that becomes personal. That becomes a rejection. And so we're not prone to do those things. So I really resonated with what the organization was doing. And Patricia, make a long story short, at a point I bought it. I had an opportunity to buy it, and I did. And I stopped practicing law. I enjoyed practicing law. But there are a lot of attorneys in the United States. Maybe there's a lot of attorneys worldwide. And it's, there's nothing unique about it. There's nothing magnificent about being an attorney. They're just every day they're coming out with more attorneys. And I wanted to do something unique, something I could make an impact beyond, being an attorney. It's very localized, but, doing what I do allows me to impact people certainly all around the United States, really around the world anymore. And that, to me, that's just what a magnificent place to be, really. So anyhow, that's my story.
That's amazing. And I think that, so I hope that I don't forget all the ideas that came to my mind. So first of all, it seems like there were so many synchronicities that just took place in your life so far, that you chose the path of magnificence. And it made me think of a former client, and she was an attorney, and she left her career to really become that magnificent person, to be in the flow, to be in the zone, to be where she felt like, yes, now I am really fulfilled. And that is exactly what you shared right now. You didn't feel totally fulfilled. Then another idea, and I just read about this morning, and I want to do a post later. It's about limitations. And so maybe you tell me what you think about this idea. Limitations often make us come up with ideas, are the catalyst for improvement, are motivators for something very new, something that we didn't think about. And so this is what I thought about when I heard your story. There was this kind of limitation because you didn't feel fulfilled, and it made you come up with something that is growing and getting bigger, and that is magnificent.
Yeah, no, I think we can credit the internet. There are roughly 8 billion people on the planet. And for a long time prior to the internet, we lived in communities, and we were limited by whatever the community. You know, I don't have millions of dollars to advertise. I don't have the reach. I don't have the ability to connect with somebody in Germany. I just, you know, it would be nice, but I don't have the ability. And now with the internet, we have the ability to reach lots of people. So what that allows people to do, people like me, people like you, is to design careers, carve out a niche. You know, your niche is, you know, what you do is very specialized, and you'll be on my podcast and we'll talk all about that. It's very specialized. And if you were to try and find clients in your little community or in Germany, you probably wouldn't be able to find enough. And so you couldn't make a go of it. And so this, you know, what you're doing is a great concept, but there probably aren't enough people localized for you to be able to take advantage of it. But when you open it up, when you open that market up to 8 billion people on the planet, all of a sudden, you know what, if you're persistent enough and you believe enough and you lean into those dreams, you're going to find enough clients, you know, and so we can be fulfilled. And that's really, I mean, Amazon would be nothing but for the internet.
Right.
Nothing.
Exactly. And you said if you believe in it, and I totally believe that there is magnificence in everyone, in you, in me, in everyone, and it just needs to be brought forth so that we are of service, and that we make an impact, and that we feel fulfilled. And so I am really, really passionate about my ambition. And as you said, you do not want to talk about your greatness, but I want to talk about your greatness.
Okay.
And I want to really, if you allow me to look at your human design chart, because the chart is so in alignment. You didn't know about your chart or the details of the chart before, but it is as if an invisible guiding energy led the way to what I can read out of the chart. And I just go into it on a surface level. But just the things that I'm going to share with you, Frank, they are validating, and they are talking about your magnificence and your greatness. And so it is me that talks about your greatness, and this is allowed. And other than that, I'd say if you say I'm great and someone disagrees, it's not about you. It's nothing to take personally. It's about their perception. So maybe they can't see it because of their experiences. I don't know. Still, my headline for your chart would be creating a big family, creating connections, the networker. That could be like a book title of your chart. Someone who is really fantastic at creating connections and at seeing the uniqueness in people and bring them together. And it's all about bringing people together. And that is what you do with AMSpirit. That is why I really was fascinated when I dove into your chart. And so first of all, we could talk about so many things, Frank. We could talk about you being a generator that is here to do all the work, to become masterful in what he does. We could talk about your emotional authority, and I just rushed through it because I want to focus on the magnificence that really fits AMSpirit. The emotional authority, you're someone who can make decisions when leaning into your emotions, which are represented right here. And this is also the part that I want to talk about later on. We could talk about your profile of being someone who totally needs peace and quiet, needs to be in his cave and replenish and step back. But at the same time, the heretic, the visionary, the one that goes out into the world and has those visions and is, a visionary, really, with lots of ideas and that is just a side note. Where I want to dive in is into exactly this place, because you see, for all of those who never saw a chart before and a body graph before, there are white places in the chart that are open centers, which make you really, and we can talk about that because that makes a lot of sense as well. And then there are colored parts, defined parts that own or have your amazing gifts inside. That is what comes from within. And when they are connected like this, then you talk of channels. And I want to really focus on these two channels. This is channel 1949, and that is channel 3740. The lower channel is the channel of synthesis, and that is a mixture of sensitivity and revolution. So that is someone who needs to really be aware of personal boundaries and principles, who needs to be organized. And at the same time, this is someone who is a team player, who is an advocate for justice, for fairness. That is very important for someone with this channel. Adding the other one, because I feel like this is like a masterpiece of someone who is such a team builder. It's the channel of communication, what is so needed. And this is a marriage of, and now really listen up, the channel, the gate of friendship and the gate of aloneness. So this needing to withdraw, but needing to be amongst friends. Someone who stands for community, but also needing the solitude. Someone who knows when coming together is what is needed, and someone who knows when to step back. So you are someone, to conclude, who is very in tune with the dynamics of your community. Someone who is able to perceive when things are out of balance, and you totally know what it needs so that you harmonize the group that you created. And I would love to ask you what you think about this idea and how you perceived what I just shared.
In a way, it's a little scary because it's I would say it's right on. It's me, and I guess for the listener, you and I have spoken once before. It's not like we've had extended conversations.
30 minutes.
I would imagine there's information out there that people can, what I'm doing is speaking to the skeptic out there that's saying, "Oh, okay, they had this all figured out, and we didn't." Yes, I do. I do enjoy meeting with people. I enjoy these conversations. I enjoy talking to people all day long. But at some point, I just need to be by myself.
Yeah.
I just need to be by myself and kind of just collect myself. And, yesterday, we're recording on a Monday morning, just before Christmas, my wife's like, "Hey, let's go shopping." We got in the car and she said, "Okay, I want to do this, this, and this." And I'm like, "Whoa, I don't want to do all that. It's Sunday. I don't want to do all that. I've been busy all week." And she said, "Well, maybe I should just go by myself." And it was all very pleasant. We were laughing about it. And I just said, "Okay, well, here's the keys. You go take yourself. You go shop. You go do your thing. I'm just going to stay here and I will be with the dog, and I'll have the TV on watching American football and thinking about things and, writing things I need to get written. And I just needed that time."
And isn't that huge? Because so many people, they just pretend that they'd love to go shopping with their wife or watch sports with their husband.
Yeah.
And then when this continues and you override this boundary of, "No, I feel that this is not for me," and you said, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Then they start really having a problem, a deep problem. And I love that you are so clear of communicating that with your wife.
Well, and it's not always that way. It's not always that. That was yesterday. I could probably point to 3 other times where it didn't work out that way. And I would be shopping and I would be totally pensive because it's like, okay, I've got things circling in my mind and I need to be doing these things. And, a lot of times it's, like I do a lot of writing of things. Well, you do a lot of writing. You understand this. It's just sometimes you need to formulate the words in your head before you actually sit down. And so when you're actually sitting down and putting pen to paper or typing on a keyboard, it's all really kind of up there and you just need to massage it and make sure it all works. You're seldom creating in the moment. You're just kind of pouring out what's already been crafted, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally am with you when you say this and when you talk about writing. So you need this peace and quiet, and you need to withdraw to really pour it on the piece of paper or into the laptop. Yeah. Absolutely. What I wanted to ask you, and I don't know which way is the best, because I have some more stuff going on in your chart that really points to you being this connector, all about friendship. And I think I do that before I ask you the question about what you created. I want to talk about this number, which is 37.2. Mm-hmm. It is the conscious sun, and the conscious sun 37 is the gene key or the gate 37, and 37 is all about friendship, respect. It's all about equality and uniqueness. So it is such a huge thing. And so it is also about tenderness. It is also about forming relationships. And I found this quote by Richard Rudd, who is, so this is something that is a bit similar to human design. It's gene keys. And he said to this 37th gene key, from the point of view of the human heart, all humanity is one family. And when I found this quote, I thought, yes, I don't know who you really are, but in my heart of hearts, I believe you are about loyalty, honesty, good relationships, and connecting it to number 2, which is a line in the I Ching. It is the line of the dancer, and that is someone who is so lost in their dance. It's about fluidity. It's about self-expression without being consumed by any thoughts. And that means this friendship, respect of other people, connecting to others, like being a big family. That is something that is so natural to you. That is something that comes effortlessly, naturally. That's an inherent gift, and that is something that you do not have to force. That is something that comes with any effort. That is what is inside of you. And just talking about this and letting you know, that is very important. That is something that oftentimes, or most of the times, is a big thing in the whole chart. And as I figured out that this is about friendship, I thought that is highly important to share with you. This is your energetic blueprint. And now my question, how did you start AMSpirit? How did you come up with it? What was the beginning of it? And where are you right now?
Well, I mean, AMSpirit was a business that was already going that I bought. I mean, people call me the founder, mainly because I changed the name of the old organization. So the business was there. I didn't necessarily come up with it, but when I came across it and really started to understand it, I I fell in love with it. I mean, it's kind of like, it's kind of like finding a spouse, right? Or you find that significant, that person in your life. Mm-hmm. How did you find them? Well, you really didn't. You weren't really, you come across them when you weren't looking. I met my wife when I wasn't really looking to meet anybody, right? And there were times in my life where I was out there searching and I was always disappointed. And it was just like when you stopped looking, you found it. Same thing with the house we live in. It's like, we were looking and looking and looking and kind of giving up on looking. And then all of a sudden there was a sign. Someone was selling a house. Hey, let's, we drove by and we had written down, hey, these are all the things that, this is what we want in a house, so we had it on paper and we couldn't find it. And when we stopped looking, it just appeared. And so it's kind of the same thing with respect to the business. It was like, yeah, this is, I could practice law. I was a good attorney, but I wouldn't have been as fulfilled as I am doing what I do. And so it was just happened, kind of knowing what you're looking for. I think that's the magnificence in it, is just saying, okay, yeah, that's it. Right. And being in tune with this fits my personality. Maybe not perfectly. There are aspects of it that every business has got administrative stuff. I'm like, you have to bill your clients. Nobody likes that, right? So, but it's part of, it's part of making something great, is having to do the details that you don't want to mess with, right?
And
people
they
like cook. What's that?
They get a lot out of being part of this AMSpirit connection. So just for all those people who do not know anything about AMSpirit, what is it? What can people get out of it? Because you said you need to build them, but because I visited 2 chapter meetings and I highly enjoyed it, and I can recommend people really diving into what is going on in there, because it is highly valuable. And so it's just an exchange of energy. So I think that is just good the way it is. Could you just fill in people what AMSpirit is all about?
Yeah. What we do is we help people create groups of entrepreneurs, sales reps, professionals. Everybody has a different focus. You have an attorney, you have an accountant, you have a realtor, mortgage lender, financial advisor, different types of businesses. And they come together on a weekly basis. Our groups meet weekly. So somebody would join, they would get into a weekly group. And I know that sounds like a lot for people, but really that's part of the secret sauce, in that we develop relationships with each other. These people in this group, they come together and they really like each other. They want to help each other. They want to see people successful because, one, that's how we are as humans, but we know at some level that if we help somebody else become successful, somehow we're raised up as well. The rising tide raises all ships. So they come together every week to develop these relationships. But in addition, we help empower them to recognize opportunities for each other. So we get to know one another. And it's like, okay, Patricia, I really like you. I really want to help you. Now I really need to understand that when I see this or I hear this, that could be a good opportunity for you. And now what do I need to say so we can close the loop and I can get that person in front of you? Hey, you would really benefit by meeting this person and working with them based on what I've learned about you. So that's really the essence of what AMSpirit's about.
I totally love that. And as I said, it is not just the recommending someone to you part, but it is such a personal connection. I really could feel that just by visiting 2 chapters once. And then it is sort of a training place as well, because you get more focused on what you share with people so that they really understand what you are all about. Maybe it is even becoming more confident, and really crystal clear on what you want, what you can give to other people. And so that's why I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I asked you, is there a global chapter?
Yeah, not at this point. And again, it's one of those things where, before the internet, I didn't think that way. Even after the internet, I didn't think that way. But I think COVID has really kind of opened my eyes to, I'm doing things with people around the world. And you quickly learn that we're really all the same. We all have loving relationships, parents that we adore, kids that drive us crazy. It's just kids that dismiss us, right? It's just mom or it's just dad.
Mm.
And so we're really all the same, and we get caught up in, watching the news and the political divide, or what people tell us are the cultural divide. And it's really much smaller than anybody ever could imagine, really,
So true. And you said you didn't think in such big terms, but in the beginning I said, and now I need to share the screen for a last time, you are a speaker. That's what I said. And I didn't ask you yet, what do you speak about? You are an author. I didn't ask you yet what you wrote, but I want to share another secret with you. So looking at the chart, and that's what I said in the beginning, there are open spaces, white spaces, and that is the open throat. That does not mean anything bad or good, because people oftentimes ask me, oh, is that bad that it is an open throat? No, it is neither good nor bad, neither right nor wrong. It is that it comes with the opportunity or the ability to really adjust the way you speak to those you speak with. You can almost talk to anyone because you can highly adjust to the way they talk. You are someone that people love talking to because the way you do that. And it is said an open throat is mainly created for being silent, but that's not, just don't take it literally. For me, it is someone who knows when to speak and to whom to speak at the right time and when to listen, and you are masterful in that. That's what I feel. Sometimes people that are not aware of this openness, they hold back. They do not reach out to people. They do not speak on stages because they feel like, oh, maybe people do not hear me, don't like what I have to say. And they overlook this huge gift inside of the openness, that they have this power to really adjust to their audience or the person they talk to. And now I am curious, what do you talk about, Frank, when you talk about a topic? And does this sound or ring true, what I just shared about your open throat?
Well, one of the things I do want to say, you had talked about, okay, hey, you're loyal, you're this, you're that. And I'm always very, I don't think as humans we're anything, right?
Yeah.
Nobody out there is kind. They try to be kind. There's nothing I will ever do that will forever brand me as being kind, right? Every day I can just try to be kind. Every day I can try to be loyal. Am I somebody who has the ability to speak to other people? I try, I am a certain height and that's set, my eyes are a certain color, that's set, but all the other things are just things I try to do. The things I talk about are things related to relationships and why we have the relationships we do, professionally mainly. I do draw a parallel with personal relationships. God gave us one brain. He didn't give us a special, oh, you've got a business brain. You've got a professional brain. Use your professional brain. It's really the same brain in that, we developed trust for the people in our lives the same way as we do, personally as professionally. It's all really the same thing. So I do try to touch on those sorts of things. And related to that, then I talk about why people don't get referrals. Because we all have people in our lives that really, really like us. And it gets back to the AMSpirit model. I just don't want people to like you and want to help you. They need to know how to help you. And a lot of times people don't get the help that they need because they haven't done a great job of articulating, this is what would help me. When you see this person, when you hear this person say this, that's a good referral for me, or could be a good opportunity. Here's how you would connect me to them. They haven't done that. They've done a great job of saying, okay, and I'm a wonderful person, or I try to be a wonderful person. Like me and trust me. Great, I do, but I don't know how to help you. So I talk about those sorts of things as well.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that you said there is no fixed thing or characteristics about someone. That's why I like human design in a way that I didn't think about I would ever like it, because I didn't like human design when I came across it over 10 years ago. I thought that is putting people into a box and just saying them, so, you have an open throat, you are not meant to be a speaker. So that's what I thought. But now it gives me endless abilities and opportunities to share what people can achieve beyond what they know they can achieve. And I like that you touched upon this fact. And that was really intriguing. You talked about why people do not get referrals. You speak about that. So when people want to learn more about that, because I really was attracted by this topic, where can people listen to you? Where can they interact with you? Where can they ask you? How can people reach you?
I have a website out there, frankagin.com. I mean, there's AMSpirit has its own website, but I have my own website, frankagin.com, and people can reach me through that. My LinkedIn, it'll take them to my LinkedIn, it'll take them to my Facebook, it'll take them to my email. My phone number might even be in there, I don't know. But I'm happy to meet people where they want to meet. Some people just love to communicate on LinkedIn. That's where they live, and that's fine, and I'll do my best. For me, email is great. Send me an email. Yeah, I have a lot of content that I put out there on these topics, and I do a fair amount of speaking, on these topics. I've got a podcast where I talk about all these things. I almost have 700 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's just, it's fast to me. It's fascinating. It's, that's why I say, Patricia, I'm a student. I'm not an expert. I'm a student. Every day I learn something new. Maybe I know more than a lot of people, but I'm eager to learn what's the next thing.
Wonderful. You know what I really like about you? It is you are such an amazing mix of, there is so much honesty about what you share, and you have those little side notes on talking about an experience with your wife and how you met how you found your house, and you do that in such an attractive way that is really like magnetizing the listener to what you have to share. And I think that is your honesty, and everything that you say comes from deep inside your heart. You don't shy away from talking about private things. So I really enjoy this conversation. And I didn't expect that, but I knew that you are this kind of person, but I didn't expect it to go that way. It's just a bandwidth of what we can talk about, and I appreciate that a lot.
Well, thank you.
So one last thing that I would love to ask you, maybe you have a piece of advice or a little hidden gem, something that you want to share with people that might exactly need to know that or hear that right now, something that you want to gift to them right now.
Well, what I tell people, the question I generally get is, what's the one thing that somebody can do to get themselves better networked? And it really has applications to lots of different things, but my response to that question is, find something you're passionate about and go out there and find a place to volunteer. Just put yourself out there, contribute to the world. Don't worry about what comes back to you. Just get out there and do these sorts of things. It might be pets, it might be homelessness, it might be hunger, it might be youth sports, I don't know. But get out there and get involved, because when you do that, you really put yourself, you really create an exposure for yourself amongst people who care about the same things. And even the people who don't care about those things will tend to have a higher opinion of you because you are committed to something as opposed to being completely self-centered. Yeah,
I love that. And don't copy anyone, just be yourself. I would add that, because, and this is, I always come to this point where maybe that's my trigger, where I just need to say, just be yourself, be the unique and magnificent being that you are, and don't let people tell you that you need to copy a certain strategy, you need to talk about this and that to be successful. I think it is just being you and talking about what you really love. That is the secret sauce. And oftentimes there are blockages because what do people think about me? Maybe they judge me, but that's another story. One can work on this, but I love this piece of advice.
Thank you.
Okay, Frank, it was wonderful talking to you. I totally enjoyed our conversation. I enjoyed everything that you shared, and I highly recommend people reaching out to you, maybe trying out one of the chapters. That's something that I really love sharing, and I can't stress this enough. And so is there anything that you want to add to this in the end of our episode?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you, though.
Okay, so then thank you for the conversation again, and have a beautiful rest of your day. And to all the listeners or all the audience out there, just remember that you are magnificent, and tune in to another episode of Magnificence, the one and only empowerment podcast that strikes a match and shines the light on your magnificence and the magnificence of my guests. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for this empowering episode. To continue this journey of aligning with your true purpose and uncovering your magnificence, schedule an illumination call with Patricia at patricialindner.com. Please share this episode with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the show on YouTube and your favorite podcasting platform. Join us again soon for another episode of Magnificence.